our top story tonight, the number of people who wish they were Kevin McCarthy this week was 0. That's right, old Kev broke a 100-year streak of parties just electing House speakers willy-nilly. So what happened this time? Let's break it down. So Kevin McCarthy really wants to be Speaker of the House, but members of his own party are against it because they don't think he's right-wing enough. Really? The guy's prepared to drop the words Hunter Biden's laptop into every piece of legislation he sponsors for the next 2 years. How much farther right do y'all need him to get? Ahead of the speaker vote, McCarthy was hard at work trying to get all the votes he needed. He made several concessions. Hot dogs are $1.50, nachos are $3, and a large soda is $2.50. Just kidding! He was really offering juicy committee assignments along with free on-demand BJs behind the Lincoln Memorial, also referred to as gavel banging. On Tuesday, a vote was held which McCarthy lost. Then they voted 2 more times the same day as if something had magically changed, and he kept losing. But that didn't stop McCarthy from moving his stuff into the speaker's office. He has claimed ownership by peeing on the desk. He was confident he would still win the vote eventually, but hinted that if he did not, he would drop a deuce in the corner on his way out. Noted cunt-face Matt Gaetz had something to say about that office invasion. He fired off an official letter calling McCarthy a squatter. He also explained why he didn't want McCarthy to be Speaker.
If you want to drain the swamp, you cannot put the biggest alligator in charge of the exercise. I'm a Florida man and I know of what I speak.
Hey buddy, Florida man isn't generally considered a good thing to be called, okay? There's a certain connotation there, usually makes you think of a meth dealer wrestling an alligator. And all of that happened on Tuesday. Then, on Wednesday, they voted 3 more times, and Losersaurus Rex just kept on trucking. In fact, he lost 2 votes between the first and 6th rounds of voting. So who were his opponents voting for? Well, they had a very coherent strategy of voting for Andy Biggs, then Jim Jordan, then Byron Donalds. So they've definitely got their shit in a pile. My question is, if McCarthy didn't have the votes, and in fact kept losing votes, then why did they keep having votes? Reminds me of this. Do you like olives? Ew, no. How about now? No. Now? Still no. How about now? Fuck you and fuck your olives. It was time for McCarthy to change tactics. So he agreed to buy everyone a new yacht and said, okay, if even one person looks at me like, then I'll call for a vote and we can do this process all over again. Just please let me be Speaker of the House for like 5 minutes. As of the time we made this episode, there is still no resolution. And the federal government literally cannot function until this is sorted out. Electing the speaker kicks off everything else that Congress does. The American in me says we've got to come together to sort this out. But the comedian in me is having a blast. George Santos showed up to Congress for a real fun week despite lying just a little tiny bit more than your average Republican. Santos is in trouble for apparently embellishing his resume and claiming to be Jewish, a Navy SEAL, a scratch golfer, and Justin Verlander. But unfortunately for Santos, now that the Brazilians know where to find him, they're reopening their fraud investigation. A liar and a fraud. Wow, can someone get this guy to run for president? He's definitely got the resume for it. And speaking of fraud-prone presidentes, they call him Teflon Don for a reason, because when things get really hot, he emits toxic fumes. The former president, Jesus, it's so weird that he was president, has blamed the poor showing of Republicans in the midterms on abortion stuff and not his terrible hand-picked candidates. Trump conveniently forgot to mention that he appointed 3 Supreme Court justices for the express purpose of overturning Roe v. Wade. So actually, both of those things are your fault, sir. It emerged this week that Donald Trump apparently had some issues trying to finish his post-January 6 riot video. Usually he would do videos quickly in just 1 or 2 takes, which may surprise you when you watch this.
Here's one of the best parts. Each card comes with an automatic chance to win amazing prizes like dinner with me. I don't know if that's an amazing prize, but it's what we have.
I know, so polished, right? Anyways, that particular video where they wanted him to say things he didn't feel, like sorry I started a riot, seemed to really stick in his craw. He kept delaying by requesting Diet Cokes and taking sips of Diet Coke and then requesting a new Diet Coke. My question is, who was the director on this? Every director I know would have called the PA over and been like, listen to me, Diet Coke no longer exists, okay? It is dead. I need you to go take a very long break, and if you come in here again with another Diet Coke, I swear to God I will take out your kneecaps with a lectern. And now, a public service announcement.
Lawyers, they've had it tough for far too long. The briefcases, the Latin, it's a hard life. Sometimes you can only bill $300 an hour. How are you supposed to send your kids to prep school with Clint Eastwood's grandchildren on that? But now, you can give lawyers hope. When you donate to the Trump campaign, your money goes directly to paying these poor, hard-working lawyers. Some people rescue kitties or puppies. But Donald Trump's mission is to give lawyers a purpose. A lot of purposes, actually. Some might say too many purposes. If you want to save the lawyers, donate today.
A video went viral this week in which Donald Trump Jr. has started selling Bibles. Jr. strongly believes that a hollowed-out Bible is a great place to store your cocaine. He's not wrong. Louisiana has successfully passed a law requiring age verification for any website that contains more than 33% porn. We here at the Friday Fenix love our Louisiana viewers of all ages, so rest assured that all Friday Fenix videos are capped at no more than 28% porn. That's our porn customer satisfaction guarantee. If you want more satisfaction, though, try porn. The Monopoly Man's pervy brother, Roger Stone, released his annual best dress list. Wait, this guy has a best dress list? This guy? The Professor Quirrell to Nixon's Voldemort? Okay, I'll bite. Who's on this list? Is it just who has the starchiest hood or the whitest whites? Huh, Joe Biden actually received props from Stone. And Steve Bannon got slammed. Stone called his look Fat Johnny Cash, which is ridiculous because I think we can all agree his style is more alcoholic Palpatine. The former Pope died and people lined up to take phone pics. Very respectful. When I die, can y'all please make sure I am immediately shot into the sun so no one can update their Instagram with photos of my corpse? I'd really appreciate it. France is handing out free condoms to everyone. It's about fucking time, pardon my French. I'm all in favor of encouraging citizens to baguette up. In an interview about his new memoir, Spare, which I was disappointed to learn is not about bowling, Prince Harry mentions that he wants his father back. Can't relate, said all of Elon Musk's kids. Now, this is a very touching sentiment, but no word on his uncle cousins, grandpa brothers twice removed, or the butler nobody's exactly sure is related, but they have a pretty sneaking suspicion. Dang family tree is more like a tumbleweed. For more on British news, including more royal rumbling, let's go to our chief British news correspondent, Matt Johnston. Now, Matt, can you tell us more about what the royals are up to?
Prince Harry has reached out to Buckingham Palace after his Netflix special, and if they don't respond, they're going to make a sequel. Look, this is the royal family. Like any family, they fight from time to time, or in this case, all the time. But because it's the royal family, somebody usually gets beheaded, or at the very least suffocated with a pillow in the Tower of London. Well, it's the King's coronation in May, and Harry is expected to attend. But this family costs the taxpayer over £100 million a year. And I want to see some return for that. So how about a roast battle or dance-off between the two sons for the crown? Or wrestling? A royal rumble in the jungle, all to be streamed on Hulu.
I love the idea of a royal roast battle, but sounds like they may have opted for the rumble instead. Now, Matt, I want to talk about something a little bit more serious, which is the healthcare crisis in the UK. Can you tell us what's gone on there?
That's right, the NHS, the National Health Service, for those that don't know, and I appreciate that the concept of free universal care to all may be unfamiliar to people, like for instance Americans, or indeed our government. But to be clear, it is the shiny jewel on the crown of this wobbly kingdom, and it has been underfunded by this Tory government for the last 12 years to breaking point. So the nurses are on strike, not only for better pay, which they should absolutely get, but also for a better, properly funded health service.
So Matt, Americans are used to asking this question of our own healthcare system, but how did things get so bad over there?
The problem, as far as the Health Secretary Steve Barclay is concerned, is that there is a rise in COVID and flu cases. And who could predict that winter, the coldest season of the year, would see a rise in flu cases? Unprecedented, I think you'll agree. And he's concerned that they're not freeing up beds fast enough. Now, this does make sense, and in fact, I imagine could be a heck of a lot quicker if people could be sick in half the time, or ideally, not at all.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, but the nurses aren't the only ones on strike right now, is that right?
There are actually strikes across the board in the UK at the moment. Not only the nurses, but the train drivers, bus drivers, National Highways Agency, teachers, emergency call operators, local council workers, and a whole load of others. In fact, the only ones not on strike are the politicians. Actually, they might be, but nobody's really sure what difference it makes if they don't turn up for work.
We can certainly sympathize with that this week as our own government fails miserably at its most basic tasks. So anyways, to end on a lighter note, any New Year's resolutions?
New Year's resolutions? Yeah. I've decided to eat more vegetables rather than vote for them.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. Pleasure to have you here as always.
Thank you very much and a Happy New Year, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Southwest Airlines announced it's going to become a shipping business because at least your bags will get where they're going. Southwest's fuck-up was so massive that we had to double-check to make sure that Elon Musk hadn't bought the airline. Former crypto bro Sam Bankman-Fried pleaded not guilty to federal fraud charges. SBF apparently called up fellow billionaire Elon Musk to ask, so that Mars thing, you think that'll be ready to go by, say, October? This Monday was National Introverts Day. The parade was not well attended. And speaking of not socializing, new studies show Americans are having less sex, fewer friends, and a loss of trust in each other and society. Some are calling this a social recession, while I'm calling it trying to relive high school. In news completely unrelated to widespread social despair and the ensuing booze binges that tend to go along with it, scientists are closing in on making viable human livers out of pig livers. Quote, probably best to get ahead of this now. Sherlock Holmes is officially a part of the public domain now, so get ready for an absolute tidal wave of porn with names like The Adventure of the Copper Bitches, A Study in Scarlet, and The Redheaded League. That guy really liked redheads. And finally tonight, the Mega Millions lottery prize is once again sky high, and people are frantically searching their seat cushions for money to buy a ticket. Personally, if I win, I'm going to buy that pack of gum I didn't get because I bought a lotto ticket. And of course, buckets of whores. That wraps up this week's Friday Fenix. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah,